let's talk to our resident NBA analyst, Enzo Flojo, to talk about the developments in the NBA in the last 24 hours. Enzo, nakakagulat?
Well, yes.
Nakaka-shocking iba. Konting pasada muna tayo sa Knicks at kay Phil Jackson. Was this divorce something that you saw happening anytime soon?
Well, it was something that I was wishing for, but I'm not a big New York Knicks fan. But if you're a fan of basketball, you know, you don't like the direction that he put in place for the Knicks, or the lack of direction, actually. You don't know what he wanted to do with his franchise. It's like they overpaid him to basically do nothing. And we saw how unhappy Carmelo Anthony was. We saw how unhappy Kristaps Porzingis was. And it's clear that the future was bleak for the Knicks, and he just had to go. And now with Phil Jackson out, I think it's a fresh start for New York. I think they can finally really seriously build on their two superstars, if you can call Kristaps a superstar already, and then move forward with that.
Well, we'll see. Now they got that void to fill at the president spot. I'm still a big fan of Phil as a coach. He's one of the best.
For sure.
But not all good coaches are good GMs or presidents.
Okay,
moving on to the bigger bit of news today. Of course, the whole CP3 is now taking off in Houston, and what a shocker. Amidst all the talk now that was supposed to be the Spurs, whatever. How did this pan out? Anong basa mo dito kung bakit kumambyo sila at kahit pa paano, I know it's a trade, but you know, a player of his stature would have to agree to something like this as well.
Oh, for sure.
Na napunta siya sa Rockets.
I think on the part of the Rockets, I think they're really all in for this season. I think after losing to the Spurs this year in the playoffs, they realized that we've gone far as a team. You know, Mike D'Antoni being coach of the year is proof of that. But this is as far as we can go with this roster. So we have to shake things up. And you know, nag-iipon na ng stars ang maraming teams sa NBA. That's the way, you know, the NBA has evolved over the past few seasons. And if you're Houston, you look at the Cavaliers who won the title last year. You look at the Warriors who had Kevin Durant, so they won the title this year. Talaga ma-realize mo, we need star power. Not just to have more talent, but to attract the right kind of talent and role players to our team. So adding Chris Paul does that for Houston. I think maybe this won't end with Chris Paul. At least they're going to try to maybe bring in another big name. And once they do have that big three, maybe they can bring in a lot of good role players who can play for less money. I think that's maybe the big picture for Daryl Morey, for Mike D'Antoni in the Houston Rockets.
All right. Before we dig in more in the Houston situation, let's talk a bit about the Clippers. Who, you know, well, now not just Doc Rivers, but it's kind of being led by Jerry West. And I know some Laker fans are joking about this and saying, thank you, Jerry West, for putting the Clippers back to where they belong, in the backseat in Los Angeles, because after Magic Johnson's over there and Lonzo Ball, all that. But kidding aside, how are the Clippers? I mean, they got 7 players. A couple of them are solid, a future draft pick as well, and some cash. Now, what does the future look for them?
I think this is Jerry West saying, okay, this is my team now, and I'm going to run it the way I want it. And we've seen how the big three of DeAndre Jordan, Blake Griffin, and CP3, how far they could go, and they can't go any further than that. They can't make the conference finals or even beyond that. So let's blow things up right now, see what we have, build for the future, and I think Jerry West is going to be ready to win with this franchise maybe in 2020 or beyond. But right now in 2017, I think they're kind of waving the white flag. That doesn't mean they're going to tank. It doesn't mean they're going to not make the playoffs. I think if Blake Griffin signs, DeAndre Jordan is still with them. They have Lou Williams.
Beverly Williams are pretty good players.
That's a pretty good backcourt right there. They can still make the playoffs, but I don't think they're going to go far. And I don't think that's the target for them anyway. They're thinking long term. So I think this is not too bad for the Clippers. If you're a Clippers fan, I think you don't feel too bad about this, because I think Jerry West has, you know, a good grasp on the steps he needs to take in the next 3 or 4 years. All
right, now back to Houston, where all the attention is right now. The question is, how will these two play together? If my memory serves me right, they played together in Team USA, right? But the last time Harden played with big stars together in a team was when he was with OKC. And those two stars were bigger than him at the time, kinda. Russell Westbrook, Kevin Durant. And since he moved to Houston, he's always been top dog. So how will this blend all together now?
I think the bigger adjustment will really be on CP3's side. I mean, coming in, he has to realize this is not his team. This is going to be James Harden's team. And a couple of seasons ago, before he went to the Clippers, he was in a semi-similar situation. If he had gone to the Lakers, he would have been teaming up with another guy in the same mold as James Harden, ball-dominant guard who could play point guard also, actually, Kobe Bryant. So now he's in that situation with James Harden, and the bigger adjustment, like I said, is going to be for CP3.
Yeah.
Mainly because, again, this is Harden's team, but secondly, because Houston plays at a very fast pace, which Paul is not used to.
Okay.
Chris Paul is one of the top point guards on the planet right now. For me, he's a Hall of Famer, lock in the future. But he's just not in the same mold as James Harden or Steve Nash, who can play 7 seconds or less Mike D'Antoni basketball. So he has to adjust to that.
Okay.
If he can buy into that system and find a way to be able to go into the flow of the Houston offense and not disrupt it, then I think it's going to be a very beautiful team to watch this season.
Could we see another identity change again for Harden, as this year was a big challenge for him, and he really met the challenge of playing point guard, leading the league in assists, and then now you have the point guard coming in. Do we expect Harden to shift back to his old two-guard role, or can we see a dual point guard setup, which we've seen some teams do, and some teams be successful with that?
I think we're going to see A1 and A2 right here. I think Harden's going to take a breather in some moments, I guess, in games, and he's probably going to relish in the fact that, okay, if I take the pedal off the gas, my foot off the gas pedal a little bit, I think at least someone's going to be there to catch, or to take on the scoring cudgels, which they did not have against the Spurs in the playoffs this year. I think that's going to be a good thing for James Harden. Will he have to shift back to a catch-and-shoot player? Maybe at certain points. But I think if you're Houston, the way forward is still through James Harden leading the way. And I think we're going to see maybe equal parts James Harden being the point guard still, and maybe equal parts Chris Paul being the point guard when James Harden has to move back a little bit. And I think that's the kind of decision-making that Mike D'Antoni will have to really grapple with in the off-season and in the early part of this coming season.
And who do they have left? They gave up 7 guys, and 2 of your major pieces, in Beverly being a starting point guard, Lou Williams, your 6-man. Who do they have left that, this reminded everybody else, teka lang, may natitirang player pa. Sino nandun? And who's significant enough to work well with these 2 superstars?
A lot of people, when they found out about the trade, myself included, reacted by saying, who's going to help these guys? These are 2 big stars, but they probably have a shallow bench, no supporting cast. But you have to remember, Clint Capella's there. He had a banner season this past season, and he's probably still going to improve as the season comes along. And if you look at the way he plays, he jumps, he rebounds, he blocks shots. He's not too far off from DeAndre Jordan, who frolicked and flourished under or with Chris Paul. So that could be good for Clint Capella as well. You have Ryan Anderson, who the only things he needs to do are 2 things: rebound and shoot those threes. And with James Harden there and Chris Paul finding him in those spots, that's good. And for Mike D'Antoni, imagine this. On one end of the basketball court, you have James Harden and Ryan Anderson playing pick and pop. On the other end, if that doesn't work, they swing it. They have CP3 and Clint Capella playing pick and roll. So that's pretty good offense. Sa gitna, Trevor Ariza, who only has to do 2 things also: play good defense and shoot the 3. So with that 5, that's a solid 5. I don't think they can beat Golden State, but they can hang with Golden State maybe. And then off the bench, you have Eric Gordon and Nene.
That's right.
That's not a star-studded bench, but that's not too shabby either.
Well, we'll see. And then who knows? Maybe they could swing that home run with Paul George. Who knows? And then they might even be the favorite team.
A lot more interesting.
Should be fun to watch. And we've got a few more days to go to see all these moves and free agency coming up soon and some big trades happening soon. Enzo, maraming salamat. See you again soon. Thank you.
For more sports updates, keep watching The Score. And don't forget to subscribe.